Hey guys, it's Michelle, and I am actually recording this segment of my video the day after what I recorded for kind of my regular update. So I just felt the need to record a little extra segment, and I'm going to put it at the front of the video. So what do I want to talk about? So a few weeks ago, Diana from It Is Kismet Stitches did a post on, a couple of posts on Instagram. I think she first posted it to one of her stories and then an actual Instagram post to gauge interest for a Flosstube Fit Club. And so I immediately was like, yes, me, count me in. And so she, in her latest video, talked about Flosstube Fit Club, what that is, and what she plans to do with that. And so I actually watched her video last night, which is what prompted me to come and do this little segment of video. And I also just got finished watching Michelle Bendy Stitchy's video, where she also talks about Flosstube Fit Club. So Diana's thought was really not just to have a, hey, let's work out, let's lose weight, be more active, blah, 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 that sort of thing, but more focusing on taking care of yourself and putting your self-care as a priority. And when she talked in her video about it and what she has struggled with and, some of the other things that she has seen others struggle with, it really kind of struck a chord with me. And here's why. So it seems like every year around the November time frame, I don't know if it's because I always take time off around Thanksgiving, and so that gives me the brain space and emotional space to really think about things and be a little more introspective, or if it's just the time of the year or whatever. But it seems like every year around that November time frame, I get really introspective and start looking at, what were my goals when I started the year and where am I at now? And 9 times out of 10, when I ask myself that question, the answer is always, well, I kind of haven't done anything that I said I was going to do in January. And that turns into, of course, a big old dose of guilt. But what I realized this year, or remembered this year, and I posted up about it in the Flosstube Fit Club group on Facebook, and you can search for Flosstube Fit Club, and it should come up for you, but I will also post a link to it down below. I posted it this morning that my teacher, my mentor, used to tell me that progress is not something that you can measure in a straight line. It's not that straightforward, that it's actually a spiral. And so each time you come around that circle, while it may seem like, oh, here I am again, why do I keep doing this again and again and again? Each time you come around that circle, you're actually at a different level. And so while it may seem like it's the same thing that's coming up for you again and again, it may seem like, gosh, why am I back here in this place again? Why can't I get this? You're actually not at the same place that you were initially. You've changed, you've grown, you've learned things. And so while it may seem like you're in that same place, you've actually moved up. And so while it seems like it's a similar situation, you're different. So when I realized that, I started to kind of look back at the fact that while I may not have been able to make big check marks, did this, did this, did this, my life's all in order and everything is fabulous. But there has definitely been a lot of change that has happened since this time last year. So I do think it's important to honor that, but I also think it's important to recognize the things that I still want to do, the things that I still need to do. And what I have found also, and what made Diana's comment so, or her video so resonating to me, was that we so often put ourselves last. And while you may be taking care of everything else and juggling all the balls, a lot of times, you know, taking care of ourselves and making sure that we're going to the doctor, that we're, you know, eating stuff that nourishes us, you know, all of those things, being active, so on and so forth. All of those things, a lot of times we put that last, because, at least for me, it's about feeling like I'm not worth it. And that needs to change, because I am worth it. So here's where I am. And here's kind of why I joined Flosstube Fit Club and where I intend to go with that. So at the end of last year, when I was in my let's, you know, make a plan place, I ordered Laura Casey power sheets for 2017. And the big reason that I decided to order power sheets was really mainly because something that Laura does that really hits home for me is that it's not just about setting those goals. It's one, about breaking them down into small actionable steps, but it's also, and here's the key, it's also about tending. And so she talks a lot about how, you know, you can't just plant seeds and then walk away and never water them and not give them sunshine and expect to come back and have a fully grown plant. You have to actually tend your garden. And so that's the big piece for me, is it seems like, you know, I make those goals, I set those intentions, and then I walk away from them. And then I come back at the end of the year and go, well, gosh, how come I haven't made any progress on these things? How come I didn't get where I was supposed to be going? And it's the tending piece. And so what I'm going to do is I am picking my power sheets back up. I have, I've already set my goals. They are the same goals from last year. I did make a few minor adjustments to them. But the beauty about these power sheets is that it's broken up into months, so that each month you're sitting down and you're reassessing and you're tending those goals to see what actionable steps can I take, what small things can I do towards that goal, and, you know, looking back at day by day, week by week, what am I doing to get closer to where I want to be? So that's the big piece for me, is that consistency and tending to my goals. And so I know that if I start the good habits of taking care of myself daily and making myself a priority, whether it be through, you know, what I eat, through, you know, being more active, through coloring my hair, through painting my nails, you know, whatever it is that reinforces those good habits and that feeling of self-worth. Diana talked a lot about making doctor's appointments and going to the doctor and taking care of your health in that way. And for me, what really came up for me is, obviously I got sick at the beginning of November because I wasn't taking care of myself. And I have now been sick almost 2 months because even after getting sick, I still wasn't taking care of myself. And so I finally decided, this is nuts. Go to the doctor and take care of yourself. I have a dentist appointment that I actually go to the dentist 4 times a year rather than twice a year. But this last appointment, I have moved it and rescheduled it and moved it and moved it. Like, I think my original appointment was like in October, and I've just moved it till now it's in January. So it's things like that that I always think, oh, I can do that later. I can push that off. It's just my appointment. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But if Eric was doing the same thing, I'd be getting after him because I'd be like, why aren't you taking care of yourself? So same thing, you know, I've talked about the issues with my eyes and having so much problem seeing. I have a prescription for glasses that my eye doctor gave me in August. Yeah. So maybe I should go get those filled. What do you think? So those are just a few examples of things that I want to focus on for me, that I encourage each of you to focus on as well. And this is the perfect opportunity where you have a nice community, where you have people that are wanting to, you know, cheer each other on, listen, encourage. So if that's something that you're interested in, I completely invite you to go and join the group, share on Instagram, share on YouTube videos, Flosstube videos, whatever, share on Facebook, and make 2018 the year where you really start to take care of yourself and you start to do those things to tend your garden. So, a couple of things, like I mentioned, I'm going to work on my power sheets, and I had started a meditation practice, and I made it through, you know, 7 days of doing kind of an intro meditation practice, and then was going to move on to a 21-day meditation course. And then I just got waylaid. So I'm going to start back up with my meditation because I think it's an excellent way for me to continue to have that head space, that emotional space, to really be intuitive and introspective and really make sure that I am paying attention to what's going on with me and be present and mindful about what I'm doing and the choices I'm making and all of those things. So I'm going to work on getting right back to my meditation practice starting today. And the other thing that I'm doing, and Diana mentioned in her video, you know, don't wait for 2018. What small thing can you start doing today to start making a difference? And so the other thing that I am doing is, you know, I mentioned a while ago that I bought myself a Fitbit. And so the other thing that I'm going to do is every hour, on the hour, when my Fitbit says, get up and move, I'm actually going to get up and move. So some days that's a struggle because I feel like, oh, I'm just in the middle of this and I can't get up and you know, but getting up and taking 10 minutes to go do something else and walk around and move is way more productive and will make me more productive when I come back to whatever I was doing. So yeah, so those are my plans. So I wanted to take a minute and slide this little video segment in the front of my other video and talk to you a little bit about that because I do think it's timely. I know that the holidays are a hard time for folks, and Michelle Bendy Stitchy, you know, mentioned, you know, some of the things that are going on for her it is a hard time of year, or it can be. And so it's one reason why self-care right now is so important, so that you make sure that you're not, you know, getting overwhelmed or just allowing yourself to become really emotionally drained, physically drained, etc. It's a lot that's going on, and while it can be a very happy, lovely time of year, it can also be a very sad and hard time of year. So anyway, I just wanted to take a few minutes to say all of that, and I am going to be doing kind of regular updates. That's part of tending. I'm going to be doing some regular updates on where I'm at, how I'm doing, and what I'm working on with regard to Flosstube, Fit Club, not Flosstube. Anyway, so before I start coughing, I'm gonna let you go with that. So Merry Christmas, and go check out the Facebook group if you're interested, and feel free to message me if you have any questions or need to chat. So thanks guys, happy stitching. Hey guys, it's Michelle from Cozyegg, and today is Friday, December 22nd, 2017. This is episode 46, so thanks for joining me. Jazz hands. Anyway, this weekend is Christmas. This may be the last chance that I get to record before the new year, so I wanted to try to get another video in because I want to talk to you about kind of my year-end wrap-up, and then also what my plans are for 2018. So let's get to it. I am on antibiotics. My cough is much better, but I am still coughing, so bear with me. I'm in the living room today, and so I'm here with our other tree. Last time I videoed, I was still sitting in the dining room, but looking into our entry hallway, so you could see the blue and silver tree. And now I'm in our living room, and here is our red and gold tree. Because our cats are hoodlums, and he's sitting behind me and eating my hair, these are plastic ornaments. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, now that I've told all of my secrets, and here's Tut. Say hello, Tut. Okay, so let's talk about 2017. So obviously 2017, I decided to join in Year of Whips that was being hosted by Melanie in her Soulful Stitching group. I kind of joined late, so I was kind of half in, half out, you know what I mean. But I think I had 12 pieces that I was focusing on as my Year of Whips. And my intention was to try to get as many of those done as possible. I think I mentioned, you know, many videos ago that my friend Jana, when she heard how many pieces I had chosen for my Year of Whips, she was very concerned because she knew there was no way I was going to get all of those done. I knew there was no way I was going to get all of those done, but my thought was I'm going to try to focus on a specific list of pieces, rotate between them, and any progress that I get on any of those 12 is forward progress. And if I finish some, even better. So that was my plan. Of course, since you've been here a while, you know how all of that went. Come May, I decided, let's take part in Stitch Mania. Why not? And my initial plan was I was going to work on each of my Year of Whips pieces 2 days a piece and just kind of rotate through them. So that would have been most of the month, 24 days. But yeah, and actually at that point I'd finished one, so it was less than that. But anyway, then I got a bee in my bonnet and decided to start a whole bunch of stuff. So I started a whole bunch of stuff. And then came Dark October, and I was going to I actually planned to start a whole bunch of stuff and started some. So anyway, the year did not go as I had intended, but it was fine. So let's look back on what I did in 2017. So I had 12 finishes, which I'm a little surprised by because I didn't think I had that many, but some of them are little. So I'm just going to kind of read through these because you've seen photos of all of them. Actually, while I'm home on vacation, I am taking some photos of those pieces because some of them I have shown on Instagram, some of them I haven't. Some of them were Sal's that I don't think I ever posted in the group and said, hey, I actually finished this. I don't know what I did. So I am in the process of taking pictures of all of those so you can see them on my blog if you need a reference point. Anyway, so on my Halloween neighborhood round robin piece, each of the little pieces that I finish, I count those as a finish because it's a, you know, it's a whole section. It's a chart basically. So I count those as a finish. So my first finish for the year was doing that, the little house from Ghoulies and Ghosties, that bright needle piece that was the purple house with the little witch hat top. So I finished that. And then of course, right after the beginning of the year, I started working on, or continued working on, that model stitch that I was doing of Mermaid Fractor, which is Plum Street Samplers Mermaid Fractor that I was doing as a model stitch for my local needle workshop, the Stitch Niche. So I finished that. And the next piece is, I'm not going to say anything else other than it is a gift that should have been given months ago, but hasn't been, so I can't tell you what it is, but it's a little small piece. Then I finished that Papillon Creations mystery sampler that I did for Eric to celebrate Eric and my 10-year anniversary, because I started it in 2006. And or we got married in 2006. Our 10-year anniversary obviously was 2016. It did take me 10 years to finish it because I started it in 2007. I finished it in 2017. Excuse me. So I finished that piece. That was a huge accomplishment to get off my list. And that was one of my Year of Whips pieces. So I'm so pleased that I was able to get that done. I gave it to Eric for our anniversary, our 11-year anniversary this year, and it is hung and framed and hanging in our bedroom. So I finished that. I did that Quaker ball section for a friend of mine at Guild who asked me to stitch that for her, so I count that as a finish. I stitched that little Shepherd's Bush Glory scissor fob as an ornament for our patriotic ornament exchange that we did at the Tudor Rose Guild, so that was a finish. Coffee Quaker. So I participated in the Coffee Quaker Sal, stitched and finished that. So I started it and finished it in 2017. Unusual, I know. But I really enjoyed stitching that. I had a whole lot of fun stitching that piece. So that was a big finish for me too. Halloween Rules was another piece on my Halloween round robin that I did. That little cemetery down at the bottom, the little tombstones. I finished my cuisine d'été, which was on the yellow fabric with the red, green, and white, that French piece that's going to go in my kitchen. That was another Year of Whips piece. So finished that one off, which was great to get done because that one had also been hanging around for a long time. Salem Remembered. So I participated in the Salem Not Forgotten Sal that was in honor of the 325th anniversary of the Salem witch trials. I started and finished that piece this year, and I started it, I think we started, I want to say we started June 1st. And then I was trying to have all of the names finished by September 19th, I believe, which is when the last of the hangings were done as part of that. So, but I think I ran over by a couple of days. So kind of June to September, I finished, started and finished that piece. So, and that's a piece that has been on my list of things to start and to stitch for forever. I mean, like literally since it came out, I mean, almost. So I stitched that. That was a really important piece for me to stitch this year. One, because like I said, it's been on my list forever. One, it was important to me to honor, you know, what happened and the anniversary of the witch trials. And it was also important to me to honor my ancestor, Susanna Martin. So that was a big piece to do this year. And then just recently, I finished Halloween Garden. I actually finished that during Dark October. That was another primitive needle piece. I think that I started that last Dark October. So between last Dark October and then this Dark October, I started it and finished it. A little piece, but it was a lot of fun to stitch. And then my primitive Wizard of Oz, which I showed you on my last video. And so that was a Year of Whips piece as well. So those are my 12 finishes for the year. And as I said, a couple of those were actually starts and finishes. So, and I've been talking about my Year of Whips pieces. So I had 12 pieces that I had labeled as my Year of Whips pieces, and so I got 3 of the 12 finished, which is Mystery Sampler, Cuisine d'été, and the Primitive Wizard of Oz. So I feel pretty good about having finished 3 of those pieces that have been hanging around here for forever. And then also I mentioned on my last video, and I've mentioned it before, so the Tudor Rose Guild does a program that we call Magic, which stands for my annual Good Intentions contract. And so each year at our January meeting, we basically write down our list of pieces that we want to finish by the end of the year. And so this year I chose 4 pieces, and I tried to choose 4 pieces that were also on my Year of Whips pieces, because otherwise that would be stupid, my Year of Whips list. So I had 4 pieces that were on my magic list, and I finished 2 of them. And I feel really good about having finished half of what I put on there. So the 2 that were on there that I finished were the Mystery Sampler and Cuisine d'été. The 2 that are on there that I did not finish are Mystery 9 and the Bay Sampler by Work Basket. So, and as you know, I've been working on Mystery 9. So I feel pretty good about getting 2 of the 4 done. And then, let's see. So in 2017, I had 12 finishes. 3 of those were Year of Whips. 2 of those were Magic. And I had 16 new starts. So I had more starts than I had finishes, unfortunately, this year. But that's because I went crazy. So 16 new starts. I had no quilting finishes and no knitting finishes whatsoever. In fact, up until maybe a month ago, I hadn't even sewn at all this year. So actually getting my machine out and sewing a little bit was a huge accomplishment. So obviously the fact that I have no knitting or quilting finishes this year and barely worked on either of those two things in 2017 is something that I definitely want to rectify in 2018. So that's kind of a look back at my 2017. Obviously, there's about a week left before we roll into 2018, but I honestly don't foresee any finishes before the end of the year. So, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna roll right into kind of my 2018 plans. No, I'm not. I'm gonna hold off on that because first I'm gonna show you some lovely things that I received in the mail. So let's do that first. So, and some lovely things that I received in person also. So one of them is this awesome tote bag that's got the Bayou tapestry on it that a friend of mine gave me. I love it. So I had to bring it in here like my little fun Christmas bag. I put a call out on Instagram a while back for a chart that is out of print that I was hoping that I could maybe borrow from someone. And a very sweet person on Instagram immediately piped up and said, hey, I have that. I'm almost finished with it. I just have fill-in to do, so I'm happy to send you my chart. So she did that, and Marion, thank you so much for sending it to me. And it is this chart by Plum Street Samplers, and it's called From the Deep. And this is a horrific photo because it's really dark and it's really small and it's hard to see. So, but it's a mermaid. She did it in 2 different colorways, so you could do it on dark fabric or light fabric. And the verse here says, behold that siren of the deep, her haunting song doth call, but from it thou must thyself keep, lest her spell this thou befall. Sorry, thou befall. I cannot read. I'm trying to read with the glare and my eyes suck, and yeah, anyway. So now that I've butchered that, I actually have a little plan for this. So thank you, Marion, for passing this along. I really appreciate it, and I will show you more about what I'm thinking I'm gonna do with that here soon. And so then I went and met up with some friends the other day, and I got showered with some lovely gifts that I want to share. One of those was the Bayou tapestry bag. One of them is this gorgeous, let me see if I can take this out of here. I really need to take it out so I can use it. This beautiful pen, and she beaded this piece around it in these gorgeous colors. I mean, it's just stunning. So it's like turquoise and black and purple, and then this kind of iridescent purple right here. Really pretty. I'm trying to get that to be lit up. It almost looks like snakeskin from here. Look how cool that is. So, love it. Can't wait to use it and be all fancy. And I'm not going to show you just absolutely everything, but I'll show you a few little things. So, this little bag is from Moda, and it says "for good measure." And this is so stinking cute. You're gonna love it. So inside it has, I just looked at my light and now I'm blind. It has all of these little wooden clothespins, and they are all colored, and then they have a letter on them, and they have a little ruler on them. Look how darling that is. So super helpful if you are putting together a quilt and need to clip things together like in rows. Look how cute those are. Just darling. So that way you can keep all your rows in order. So yeah, she bought me this awesome metal sugar skull tin. It does have little candies in it, but yeah, I really just wanted the tin. So thank you, thank you. And then the lovely lady that gave me the bag also, while she was in Paris, picked up this gorgeous, gorgeous tassel. It's a little crunched from being in the packaging, but look how pretty this is. And so this little piece right here is velvet, and then it's got this gorgeous stitched kind of netting around it. I mean, it's just beautiful. And the end is unfinished so that you can kind of do whatever you want to do with it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. But it reminded me so much of the beautiful tassels that are at Versailles, particularly in Marie Antoinette's boudoir. So, just gorgeous. And then another friend gifted me with this little piece. She said she ended up with 2 of them. So one of them is now mine. So it is this cute little set, and it's a wooden ruler that has a little tombstone and a bat on it. And then this little piece, it's a tombstone. So 2 little wooden pieces. How cute is that? And it's for a specific piece, I think, called the Gatekeepers. And so this is a ruler and thread winder, and it's from Fern Ridge Collections. So I need to go research what that piece looks like. But how fun is that? I love it. Thank you, thank you. And then the last thing to arrive in the mail came from Olivia B. and Elena B. And they sent this fantastic card, which I think a lot of people have seen on Instagram. It's too funny. This is the best right here where they're stitching. So they sent this awesome card and this fantastic chart with a black cat. I love that little prim look that looks like a penny rug with those little tongues around the outside. Too cute. Perfect for dark October stitching. And then in here, there is this guy who is a pin cushion slash voodoo doll that I absolutely love. He is made out of felt. How cool that is. I love him. And then there is this beautiful thread keeper, wooden thread keeper with that awesome still life. So not only do I love this because it's got a skull on it, but because it's a painting. Love it. So fun, fun, fun. Yeah, I still don't sound good. Okay. So thank you, Olivia and Elena. I appreciate it. So that's everything in my Bayou Tapestry box. Okay, so 2018 plans. So I mentioned last time that I might want to do kind of my own form of year of whips this year. So I think I may do that because I still want to continue to focus on my whips and trying to get some things done. And also, of course, with the passing of Martina from Chatelaine Designs, I also want to make sure that I'm focusing on and prioritizing some of my chatelaines too. So, two different things came up for me when I started to look at what do I want to do next year. So, 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to take the same approach with my stitching that I had been taking with my quilting, which was basically I pick a whip and work on it till it's done. And then I move to the next one. Obviously I have too many stitching whips to do, you know, just move from one to the next, to the next, to the next. So I did actually pull like a list of, I don't know, 10 or 15. Put them in a jar. And, you know, then on January 1st, I pulled the first one, got that out, worked on it, actually finished that one pretty quickly. Pulled the next one, and the second one on the list was Anniversaries of the Heart. And I worked on Anniversaries of the Heart pretty much exclusively from January to like September of that year. And then I got so burnt out on it that I tossed it aside and then completely went haywire. So last year I decided, okay, that's not going to work for me. But I'm kind of liking this, you know, weekly rotation that I'm doing. So I think I want to do something kind of more on those lines so that I'm not getting burnt out on something. So that's where, you know, I came across Year of Whips, and doing that, picked my, you know, 12 pieces, and I think it was pretty successful. You know, I obviously have more than 12 whips since I just started 16 things this year, but by narrowing the focus and having like, you know, 10 to 15 pieces that I'm sort of concentrating on, I think that helps me to not feel so completely overwhelmed. So I wanted to do kind of the same thing this year. And as I was thinking about it, something came up, which was several years ago. My friend Katrina she was making her kind of New Year's plans. And so what she had set up was she had, you know, a set number of pieces in her stitching bag that she tried to have kind of a mix of large pieces, medium pieces, little ornament, you know, that sort of thing. And then she had pieces that were in her basket. So as she finished something out of her stitching bag, she would rotate something up from her basket to fill that spot. And so, you know, I loved that idea. I thought, this is really great. I'm going to send you a list of, she was so gracious to do this, but I'm like, I'm going to send you a whole list of all the stuff that I really want to work on, and you help me figure out what I should prioritize. So, you know, she set me up and said, here's what should be in your stitching bag, and here's what should be in your basket. And then all these other things, ignore, because you're not going to get to those. So, and, you know, and when you finish this one, then you can move this one up, and, you know, that sort of thing. So I looked back at that list that Katrina had put together for me, and I kind of wanted to do the same sort of thing. So I made a list of everything that I want. I don't have a stitching bag, so to speak, but in my basket, which is where I keep all my whips that I'm like actively working on. So here's what's going to be in my stitching basket for 2018. So the first thing, of course, is Mystery 9. I wanted to get that finished this year. It didn't quite happen. Since I picked it back up, the day that Martina died, I haven't put it down. And I've really, really been enjoying stitching on it. I'm concentrating on one corner, and because I'm able to kind of move around and do different things in that corner, I'm not feeling like I'm getting so kind of burnt out or bogged down by having to stitch the same thing 4 times. This may all go to hell when I have to move to a different corner, but right now there's enough interest with it, and I'm enjoying it, and every stitch, you know, is a complete joy. So that's what I'm focusing on right now, and I'm gonna my plan is to continue to focus on this through the end of the year and see how far I get. So here is where I'm at. So obviously there's that stuff down there that I'm ignoring, but just a little recap. So this pool is done and beaded. This is, you can see that sparkle. These are beaded. This center pool is all beaded and done. And now I'm working over here. So down here, these swirlies, like this, neither of these are beaded. And I don't have either of those corner pools done. So let me move a little bit closer so you can see this. So here's what I've been doing. So since the last time you saw it, I finished that corner pool. I got all the beading done in it, all the little over one, all the metallic. And then I moved to do these espalier trees. And so I got all 3 of those done. They are actually beaded, which is a little hard to see because the beads are like a dark, dark blue. But they are actually beaded. Yeah, you can see a little shine there. Those are beaded. And so now I'm starting on the espalier trees here, which is a little weird because I feel like I'm stitching them sideways. So it's challenging me just a little bit. But here's the thing, if you've never done a chatelaine before, and I've probably mentioned this, but because these pieces are kind of the same in all 4 quadrants, your immediate, you know, knee-jerk reaction is to do this. Don't do that, because if you do this, your stitches are going to lay backwards. So you can flip it 180 degrees and stitch upside down, but you can't go 90. So just keep that in mind. So up here, way at the top, I actually have a little T that I stitched into it, so I would know that this is the top. I'm now at a point that, and actually once I got these beds in here, because those little vegetables are directional, so then I could tell that this was the top. But before that, it looked the same from every angle. So just make sure you know which is your top. So I started on the espalier trees here, and then I decided, oh, I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna start this green border. But then I realized that, so when Martina would go in, and because this was a mystery and she would release a different part each month, when she goes in and she erases parts so that you're only getting a part of the whole thing, sometimes she erases in places that may or may not make complete sense once you look at the whole thing. So, well, let me show you this pool. So if you look at this pool, you can see that this brown outside part stops here. Well, when I looked at the next section, that brown part is all the way around, as is the metallic gold back stitching around it. But I didn't know that until I moved to the next part. So I'm now going in and I'm filling that back in, or putting that in, and then putting in the back stitching around it. And then I did these little swirlies right here that go in there. And then I have started on, so right up here is a little row of flowers. So I've started doing their little back stitched stems. And then the flowers themselves are a mix of queen stitches and eyelet stitches and beads. So I'm just kind of moving around, and so like I'll do something that's back stitching, like all the leaves on those espalier trees, those are a little fiddly. So I would do like a length of thread, and then I'd go stitch something solid, and then I'd do a length of thread, you know. And when I say something solid, I mean like this green up here, or doing this right here, where it was just stitches, cross stitches. So that's where I'm at. I'm pretty darn close to the far outside. So there's this green band here, right above the little flowers. Then there's another band, and then there are some little urns. And above these center pools, there's a staircase on each side. So my plan is I'm just gonna continue to focus in this corner, and once I get this corner done, I will probably move back over to here and then come back and do the bottom. So Mystery 9 is my first piece that's gonna be in my stitching basket for 2018. No big surprise there. And when I finish that one, I can then slot in another chatelaine if I want, either my Mermaid Treasure Box or Egyptian Garden or whatever. So that's in my stitching bag. The next piece that I have is my Halloween Neighborhood Round Robin. I actually did not do Dark October or Dark 13 stitching this month because I was just so focused on my chatelaine. But this has typically been my Dark 13 stitching. So here is the whole piece as it sits right now. And so this piece, this is one of my finishes from this year. And that was a big deal because I had to rip out that whole block that I hated and then restitch this. And then it was like, oh, now I absolutely love my piece. So I stitched that. And then I came down here and I did Halloween Rules, which is the gate and the bats and these little tombstones here. And then, of course, I've started this block, which is the cemetery block from Village at Hawk Run Hollow. So my plan is to finish this in 2018, which I think will be fun to do. It'll be something fun to work on Dark 13 of every month, and it'll give me some little finishes, you know, some smaller pieces that I can put in there, which will be good. And then when I get kind of all of the big pieces done, then I can start to do my fill-in with like the road and the trees and the pumpkins and all that good stuff. So that's in my Lady Jeanette bag that I made. I'm going to skip those two. So the third piece that is going to be on my Year of Whips for next year is my piece that I'm designing, that I'm working on the model stitch for. I really want to get that done and get it released in 2018. There's actually 2 pieces I'd like to get released in 2018, but I'm going to focus on that one, and then I can slot something else in after that. The next piece is Dutch Beauty. I haven't worked on this in a long time, and I saw Emily had hers out and was working on it the other day. So I thought, you know what, I'd really like to get that out and work on it some more. So here is where Dutch Beauty is right now. I'm working on the bottom right hand corner, mainly because I wanted to do this lion. So that's kind of where that's at. Needle minder is from Sunspot Creations. Same with the Jar of Tears needle minder. Those are both from Sunspot Creations. So this is 40 count fabric that I dyed myself. I'm using my own conversion to make it dark colors, dark jewel tones, and I'm using kind of a mix of DMC, overdyed threads, silks, whatever the heck I feel like. And yeah. So I want to work more on Dutch Beauty. I did decide to put Anniversaries of the Heart on here because that's another piece I'd really like to get done. And because it's got some smaller, you know, it's broken up into smaller blocks, I think it will be a good piece to work on. So that's where I'm at. I'm working on the September block, and really what happened to me here is that I don't love the colors because they're not showing up. So I've got some ripping out that I need to do. Mainly it's this vine right here that you can't see. So I've got some ripping out to do. I'm going to darken that up, and then I can get moving back on this. So, but I really barely worked on this at all. I think I worked on this during Stitch Mania, and that's it. Otherwise, I didn't touch it. So that's what being burnt out on something will do for you. So I want to get that out and work on it some more. And this is the block that I'm on, Blackbird Designs. That's Clara Ellen. That's the September block. And of course, the dye lots of their threads never look like the dye lots of my threads. So I'll make it match. Okay, so Anniversaries of the Heart. I have a crap ton of little Christmas ornaments started, ones I want to stitch, little small Christmas pieces. So I wanted to slot a Christmas piece in so that I can actually, you know, kind of get some of those things finished. And so I decided that I would start with my green Santa that I've been kind of working on for Santa Sundays. So here he is. That's where he's at. And I'm stitching him on 40 count weeks Cocoa. And here's, I'll show you a picture of what he'll look like when he's done. I found these. I couldn't find them last time. I was digging through my bag and couldn't find them. Green. So that's what he'll look like when he's done. So I still need to do his bottom half and his pretzel, which is really the most important part. There's red, black, gold. So These are Birds of a Feather, out of print, which is a shame because I love Birds of a Feather. They make the cutest, kind of wonkiest little designs. So my, I'll have my green Santa be kind of my first piece in that slot. And as I finish him, then I can move up other Christmas stitching or ornaments or whatever. So I figured I could work on him for Santa Sundays throughout the year. And I was trying to have a good mix of like medium pieces, small pieces, big pieces, whatever. My problem is I just have so many big pieces that I love and I really want to work on. This piece was originally not on my list. It got put on my list yesterday. So, because Tracy P is the boss of me. So, she posts up in the Facebook group for the Sal and says, hey, I just ordered this. I'm trying to get the threads. You know, how many are you using of each? Da, da, da. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should get mine out. And then I got it out, and then I realized I have more done on it than I thought I had done. And then when I looked at it, I was like, I kind of want to work on that now. So, thanks, Tracy. So this is His Eye is on the Sparrow. And that's my start. And yes, it's tiny. So this is on 48 count Gonder linen that my friend Sylvia overdyed, or dyed and overdyed, whatever. So it's still, you know, a good size piece. I guess that's probably a fat quarter. But I love it. I really do. I love the colors. I love everything about it. Except for those goofy dogs down at the bottom, but I will take care of those. So, even though I already have several big pieces in my rotation, in my stitching basket, I'm going to put this one in there because I love it and I want to work on it. So, and this is in my little bag that Sylvia also made for me. So we all started it. There were 4 of us, I think, that started this 2015 when this was the stitch along for Sampler World. Yeah, 2015. So she made us these matching cute bags and dyed fabric for us, and yeah, she even made me the cute little scissor jail. And yeah, if you go back and look at my very first video titled Who Can Resist a Pom-Pom, you might see something familiar. So yeah, I guess I've been floss tubing for almost 3 years now. And there's my scissor fob, which has this beautiful heart that's tarnished and needs to be polished on it, and then some fun little things. So yeah, so thanks a lot, Tracy P. Now I have to stitch on that too. You can see I'm really upset about it, can't you? All right, and then these last 2 pieces. So I alluded to these in my last video that, you know, I was really wanting to, in 2018, kind of make kind of a sharp right, and instead of just focusing on just plain old cross stitch, I wanted to do some things that really got me out of my comfort zone and challenged me. But then I got kind of, oh my God, I've started too many things. I've got too many whips. I'm not going to start anything else. So, and then my friend Susan, who is also the boss of me, apparently, said, you know, we should work on this. So this is Amy Mitten's Winders Keeper that she did as an online class a million years ago. And she did 3 different versions of this. So this one is the Veerland version. And then she also did a Quaker version and a Friesland version. So for Veerland, it is, it's primarily just all done in black, which is evil. Because Amy has the best names for her silks. Cadaver, evil, cadaver, evil, cadaver, evil. Yeah. And so when I ordered this, she had actually run out of all of the pieces to do it completely all in black. And so there are these little pieces that go inside of it that are also in black that have vellum, black vellum. She had run out of those, and so the kit that I got had red vellum in it instead. And so she suggested that instead of doing all of your stitching in black, that you could add in a pop of red here or there if you want. And so when she sent it, she actually sent some red silk too. I haven't totally decided if I'm going to do it with the red or not. Yeah, here's some, like she was kind of suggesting, you know, to pop out some of the red pieces. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that or not. But here's the red that she sent. This is called Red Herring. So while the stitching for this is all cross stitching, it's the finishing that would really be the challenge here. So that's why Susan was suggesting, hey, we should do this so that we could work on the finishing part together, because she and I did our Patrick's Woods hairpins and worked on the finishing on that together. So oh, and here's the thing. Here it is, open, flat, so you can see. So it pulls up into a little drawstring bag, and then it can open flat. And it's got these little pin balls on the ends of the drawstrings that are 3-dimensional. And then these are the little vellum winders, thread winders. And there's a stitched part in the center of each of those. And then there's this little pin ball. So there's a lot to it. I'm a little terrified, but I think it'll be good. And because it's all one color stitching, I figured it would be a good piece if I need something that's sort of mindless. So here's how much I have done. Oh, you can't see that? Let me get a little closer. Ridiculous. And this fabric is like the most absolute gorgeous color. I think it's called Copper Penny. It's so pretty. So I actually started this the year that my dad died. And I think, you know, I didn't really do any stitching while he was sick because I wasn't ever home. I was back and forth to my parents' house. So that's about all I got done before I threw in the towel. So I am going to work on that. No guarantees that I'll be ready to finish it this year, but I'm going to slot it in. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so there's like a bazillion. And in case you don't think that's crazy, the other piece that I thought I would do that would also kind of get me out of my comfort zone and stretch my skills a little bit is this. Also Amy Mitten. This is the workshop that she did for our guild's 10th anniversary, and she designed this sampler for us. And here it is. So it's an Adam and Eve, which you know I love. It's got stump work in it. It's got specialty stitches in it. It's got buttonhole, well, you know, whatever that stuff is. Buttonhole stitch, I think. Yeah. So this is my plan. This may have also been a direct result of Miss Susan's influence. So here's the problem with this piece. Love Amy to death, but when we got together for the workshop, she of course handed us our kits, and we all immediately started stitching. And then we looked at her piece and said, well, I really like that kind of antique, vintagey, you know, feel of your fabric. How come our fabric doesn't look like that? And she said, oh, well, I tea dyed mine. So the first thing that I have to do with this is to rip that out, because that red's gonna bleed. So I have to rip that out, tea dye it, whatever I want to do, and then I can start. Here I've started some of my little flower petals, and these will be clipped off, and then they'll be three-dimensional to be attached. Here are the silks in the colors Venom, Morbid, Casket, Miss Marple Maple, Butler Did It, Colonel Mustard, Old Lace, Sergeant Gray, Blood Red, and Red Herring. How can you resist? So, she's a woman after my own heart. So while I am unthrilled that I have to rip all that out, I will be much happier with it. And this is on that dang lamb's wool fabric that I am not fond of. But I think once I tea dye it, it'll soften up a little bit. So, here is all of the instructions for this. But I think that it will do two things. One, it will help me get out of my comfort zone a little bit and kind of push my, you know, learning new skills, which is what I want to do. And since it's already technically a whip, it fulfills that need as well. So that's everything on my 2018 list. So the other piece to that is, in case you're interested in starting to think about your 2018 plans, I saw last night on Instagram that Home Row Fiber Co. is doing something that she did, I guess, a couple years in a row. which is instead of doing your, best 9 photos, she's actually doing a make 9 photo. So everybody's using the hashtag 2018 make 9 and showing their 9 pieces that they want to make in 2018. So fortuitously, my number of pieces that I've chosen for 2018 is 9. Can't beat that. So, but that is my plan, is those are the pieces that are going to be in my stitching basket. And as I finish things, then I can slide other things in their place. But I think that there's enough variety of those pieces that it'll give me a good kind of mix of things. And, I may throw some other stuff in there too, but I really want to try to limit the number of new starts this year or in 2018, just because I'm overwhelmed with the number of whips that I have. And I don't want to just start something just to start something, you know what I mean? So the only other thing that I have, after I say I don't want to start something, just start something, is I do want to participate in the Guardians of Notre Dame Sol by Ingleside Imaginarium. So I am working on getting fabric and threads for that. And I probably won't be starting right away, but I'd like to work on that too. So, and that'll be kind of a fun thing to do throughout the year, to stitch on each of those different pieces in the rose window. So, all right, well, I think that that's all I have to share. I'm gonna work on Mystery 9 some more and see how far I can get on that before the 2nd, when I go to Tudor Rose. And I will probably be participating in Magic again this year. And so whatever I put on my Magic list is going to be whatever, something out of my stitching basket, those 9 that I chose. So one of them obviously is going to be Mystery 9. So yeah. All right, well, I think that's it for me. I hope that you guys have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. You have a Happy New Year, and have some good time with your family, your friends. Enjoy the holidays, and stitch furiously. Thanks, guys.